It's astonishing to realize that almost 48 million people in the United States fall ill each year due to foodborne illnesses, with more than 3,000 fatalities, a significant number of whom are seniors. The CDC indicates that older adults face a notably increased risk due to the decline in the strength of their immune systems over time. What's genuinely alarming is that a number of these ailments begin their journey right in the refrigerator. Indeed, the refrigerator, that trusted appliance you rely on to preserve your food, could be gradually transforming certain common items into potential health risks. Recent research indicates that incorrect food storage in the refrigerator may elevate the chances of foodborne illness, diminish nutrient content, and potentially initiate harmful chemical reactions. And the most frustrating aspect is that the majority remain completely unaware. If you've been casually tossing certain fruits, vegetables, or pantry staples into the fridge without a second thought, you might be inviting trouble. The top food on this list is particularly concerning. It not only diminishes in nutritional value, but also forms harmful compounds when cooled. Stick around until the very end, as the insights you gain could truly safeguard your well-being or potentially change your life. As we kick things off, we'd love to hear from you in the comments about your location. Also, remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content like this. Without any more delay, let's dive right in. 9. Potatoes. Let's begin with a timeless kitchen essential that many individuals mindlessly throw into the fridge without a second thought. Potatoes. However, what follows may surprise you. Storing potatoes in the refrigerator can actually pose a risk. When raw potatoes are stored in cold temperatures, an intriguing transformation occurs at the cellular level. The starch in the potato transforms into sugar at a surprisingly rapid pace. This may seem trivial at first, but this is where the situation takes a chilling twist. When you eventually prepare those chilled potatoes, particularly at elevated temperatures, the sugars can interact with amino acids to create acrylamide, a chemical compound associated with cancer in animal studies and currently being examined for its impact on humans. The conclusion is far from reach. The texture of potatoes transforms in the fridge, turning grainy, mushy, and frequently darkened, indicating oxidation and a loss of nutrients. Rather than serving as the warm, satisfying dish we cherish, refrigerated potatoes transform into a mushy, sugary disaster that could be harmful when prepared. If you've ever pondered why your roasted potatoes took on an unexpected sweetness or why the texture seemed unusual, your refrigerator might be to blame. To ensure optimal preservation, keep potatoes in a cool, dark, and dry environment, avoiding cold and damp conditions. This ensures they remain robust, tasty, and safe for consumption. If you have a bag of potatoes languishing in the refrigerator, now is the moment to retrieve them before they transform into a potential health hazard masquerading as a meal. Item number 8, bread. Let's discuss bread, a warm and fundamental staple that countless seniors always have available. It may seem like a good idea to store your loaf of bread in the fridge for extended freshness, but in reality, it's one of the least effective methods you can choose. The underlying principle at play here is known as retrogradation, a term that describes how starch molecules in bread begin to crystallize when subjected to cold temperatures. This won't take long at all. It begins to unfold almost instantly. What implications does that hold for you? Storing your soft, fluffy bread in the fridge will cause it to go stale much quicker than if you simply left it out at room temperature. Indeed, the refrigerator fails to maintain the freshness of your bread. It accelerates the process of staling, and although the difference may not be immediately visible, the taste will certainly reveal it. The texture turns harsh, parched, and brittle, transforming toast into a task and diminishing the pleasure of sandwiches. However, this is where the situation deteriorates further. When bread dries out in the fridge, it turns into a perfect environment for mold as soon as you take it out. Mold spores thrive in the damp, inconsistent moisture that arises during refrigeration and reheating. Moldy bread isn't merely unappetizing, it can pose serious risks. Certain molds generate mycotoxins, which are harmful substances that can lead to significant health problems when consumed, particularly in elderly individuals with compromised immune systems. To prolong the freshness of your bread, consider freezing it as a more effective solution. The freezer effectively prevents mold growth and staling while preserving texture. Simply cut it into pieces ahead of time and thaw as required. However, that refrigerator? It's off-limits for your everyday bread. Store bread in a bread box or a sealed container at room temperature for several days, and freeze any excess beyond that. Don't allow the cold to rob your bread of its vitality and your well-being. 7th in line. Alliums. It may come as a surprise to find onions included here, yet storing them in the refrigerator is a frequent error that can result in unforeseen issues. Onions come with a natural, papery layer that serves to lock in moisture while preserving their flavor and crispness. However, when you store onions in the refrigerator, that subtle equilibrium is disrupted entirely. The chilly, damp atmosphere within your refrigerator leads to a quicker absorption of moisture by onions, particularly after they've been sliced. This results in a soft texture, unappealing taste, and often, the presence of mold. However, there exists an even more significant concern, the transfer of odors. Onions possess a strong aroma, and when kept in the refrigerator, they emit sulfur compounds that not only deteriorate faster but can also infiltrate other nearby foods. Have you ever experienced your butter or fruit having a peculiar onion-like flavor? What you're perceiving is quite real. The fridge is absorbing volatile compounds like a sponge. A further concealed threat lies in bacterial contamination. An onion that has been sliced and stored in the fridge, even when wrapped, can turn into a haven for bacteria. Certain food myths suggest that onions can absorb toxins, a notion that lacks scientific backing. However, it is indeed the case that onions stored incorrectly, particularly in moist conditions, may become a breeding ground for harmful microbes. To store whole onions effectively, choose a dry, dark, and well-ventilated area such as a pantry. Cut onions should be stored in the refrigerator only when sealed tightly and used promptly, ideally within a day or two, while whole onions should be kept cool. That's a formula for decay, diminished nutrients, and an unwelcome refrigerator brimming with onion-flavored surprises. 6th on the list, we have tomatoes. Tomatoes are often one of the most misinterpreted foods regarding their storage in the fridge. Many believe that storing them in the fridge prolongs their freshness, yet the reality is that cold temperatures ruin tomatoes, affecting both their flavor and texture. From a scientific perspective, tomatoes are classified as tropical fruits, and they have a strong aversion to cold temperatures. Storing a tomato in the refrigerator disrupts its natural enzymes and stops the ripening process due to the cold air. The development of the tomato is precisely where a significant portion of its flavor originates. Without it, you're left with a fruit that is insipid, lacking in flavor, and disappointingly mushy. And we mustn't overlook the texture. When kept in the fridge, tomatoes tend to lose their firmness, transforming into a soft, rubbery consistency. The delightful crunch and succulent explosion you anticipate from a ripe tomato have vanished. The impact on nutrients is particularly troubling. Tomatoes provide a valuable source of vitamin C, however, this essential nutrient deteriorates rapidly in cold storage. Consequently, you risk losing both flavor and health advantages. Even the skin begins to wrinkle and shrivel when exposed to excessive cold for an extended period, resulting in an aged, unappealing look, despite their relative freshness. When you cut into a tomato and discover it's lacking in flavor or overly watery, it's likely been subjected to cold temperatures. To keep tomatoes fresh, store them at room temperature, shielded from direct sunlight, and place them stem side down to maintain their moisture. If they have reached overripe status, it's advisable to utilize them right away or prepare them through cooking. Refrain from placing them in the fridge under the impression that you're doing a favor. In truth, you're merely hastening their demise. 5th on the list. Garlic. Garlic is frequently celebrated as a remarkable food, brimming with sulfur compounds such as allicin that bolster immune health and may assist in reducing blood pressure. However, all these remarkable health advantages can swiftly vanish, or even worse, become detrimental if garlic is stored in the refrigerator. Whole bulbs of garlic can endure for weeks or even months at room temperature, particularly when stored in a dry, cool, and well-ventilated space. However, when you place them in the refrigerator, the moisture and low temperature interfere with garlic's inherent ability to stay fresh. The cloves start to sprout too early, altering their flavor and indicating a disruption in their chemical composition. The initial vibrant kick transforms into a harsh, chewy aftertaste. It's particularly unfortunate that sprouted garlic diminishes its allicin content, the key compound that contributes to its health-enhancing properties. However, what truly sends chills down the spine is this. Chopped or minced garlic stored in oil in the refrigerator can pose a risk, as it may foster the growth of Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria responsible for botulism. This uncommon yet highly perilous condition has the potential to result in paralysis or even death if not addressed swiftly. The FDA has cautioned against the practice of storing garlic in oil without proper acidification or refrigeration, yet numerous individuals continue to do so, often unaware of the potential dangers involved. Rather than refrigerating your garlic, store the entire bulb in a mesh bag or basket in your pantry. When storing chopped garlic, it's best to use it promptly and immerse it in a vinegar or lemon juice solution to minimize the risk of bacteria. However, be cautious not to allow the fridge to diminish garlic's potency or bring an unseen risk into your dishes. Fourth on the list, coffee. Indeed, it's true, coffee earns its spot on this list, and there's a compelling rationale behind it. Coffee beans and grounds possess a remarkable sensitivity to moisture, odors, and light. Storing them in the refrigerator may seem like a good idea for freshness, but it can actually lead to a swift deterioration. Coffee has the unique ability to absorb moisture and aromas from its surroundings, much like a sponge does. Within the confines of your fridge, amidst the vibrant fruits, crisp vegetables, and remnants of meals past, coffee begins to absorb those enticing aromas and flavors. This utterly obliterates the distinct flavor profile of your beans, resulting in a brew that is bland, bitter, or simply off-putting. However, it goes beyond mere taste. The true adversary in this situation is moisture. When coffee encounters the chill and moisture of the fridge, condensation develops on the surface of the beans or grounds each time the door opens and closes. This results in clumping, early staling, and the degradation of vital oils that provide coffee with its fragrance and health advantages, such as chlorogenic acids. These acids serve as antioxidants that promote heart and brain health, yet they deteriorate more quickly in cold, damp environments. As time passes, chilled coffee not only loses its vibrant flavor but also diminishes its potential health benefits. Additionally, moist coffee grounds are prone to mold growth, particularly when kept in a container that isn't airtight. For optimal storage, keep your coffee in an opaque, airtight container at room temperature, tucked away in a dark cabinet rather than refrigerating it. This maintains its freshness, flavor, and safety. Thirdly, sweetheart. This one is bound to catch you off guard. It's delightful, rich, amber-hued, and seems perfectly at home wherever it is, even in the refrigerator. However, keeping honey in the refrigerator is among the least advisable actions you can take with it. In reality, storing honey in the refrigerator doesn't merely compromise its texture. It entirely disrupts the natural preservation process that allows honey to be one of the rare foods in the world that remains unspoiled indefinitely. Storing honey in the fridge leads to a swift crystallization process due to the cold environment. This results in a texture that becomes grainy, tough, and nearly unmanageable for scooping or spreading. One might consider it merely a shift in texture, wouldn't they? Not exactly. The crystallization process can entrap air pockets, which subsequently allow moisture to enter the container upon repeated opening and closing. Moisture is the adversary of honey. Fermentation can occur, resulting in an undesirable sour flavor and aroma in your honey. Moreover, that moisture paves the way for microbial growth, a challenge that honey typically withstands due to its low water content and high acidity. However, if not stored correctly, its inherent protections diminish. The chill also hampers the natural enzymes in honey that play a role in its antibacterial qualities. Indeed, storing honey in the refrigerator can diminish its health benefits as time goes on. To preserve honey at its finest, store it in a securely sealed jar, tucked away in a pantry or cupboard, shielded from sunlight and excessive heat. This approach preserves its silky consistency, authentic taste, and all the beneficial properties that have established it as a trusted solution over time. Second on the list. Bananas. Bananas stand out as a beloved fruit globally, particularly favored by seniors who appreciate their rich potassium content and gentle digestibility. However, putting bananas in the fridge is a surefire way to ruin all the qualities that make them wonderful. Bananas thrive in tropical climates, with their internal composition perfectly suited for warm surroundings. Placing them in the fridge, particularly before they reach full ripeness, causes the cold to effectively halt the enzymes responsible for the ripening process. This suggests that your bananas might not ripen as they should. They will remain tough, have a lackluster flavor, and most concerning, their exterior will soon fade to a lifeless gray or black. This discoloration is not merely unattractive, it indicates that cold injury has taken place. Below the darkened exterior, the banana frequently becomes soft in unusual areas and acquires an off-putting metallic taste. However, aside from the taste and look, refrigeration can also harm the natural antioxidants present in bananas, particularly dopamine and catechins, which play a crucial role in supporting brain health and minimizing oxidative stress in aging cells. For seniors, those compounds hold significant value, and placing bananas in the fridge removes them without anyone realizing. Moreover, if the banana is overripe prior to refrigeration, the moisture accumulation within the peel can foster mold growth, particularly near the stem. By choosing to extend shelf life, you may be inviting the risk of mold exposure instead. To maintain their freshness, bananas are best stored at room temperature, preferably suspended or placed in a fruit bowl that allows for good air circulation. When you find yourself with an abundance of ripe bananas, consider freezing them after peeling and placing them in a container. They'll be perfect for smoothies or baking at a later time. However, I kindly ask that you refrain from displaying them with the expectation that they will endure for a longer period. You'll find yourself with fruit that has diminished in nutrients, texture, and its very essence. First and foremost, extra virgin olive oil. One of the most hazardous foods to store in the refrigerator, particularly for older adults, is olive oil. This essential ingredient is cherished for its heart-healthy benefits and its adaptability in various dishes. Refrigerating olive oil leads to a phenomenon known as solidification, during which the fatty acids crystallize, resulting in a cloudy appearance and a partially solid state of the oil. Although this physical change isn't necessarily detrimental, the ongoing temperature variations from repeatedly placing the oil in and out of the refrigerator pose significant health risks that many seniors may not be aware of. Every time olive oil transitions from cold to warm temperatures, its chemical structure experiences stress that speeds up oxidation, which can lead to the formation of harmful free radicals and reduce the oil's advantageous antioxidant properties. The oxidative alterations can convert heart-healthy oil into compounds that might inadvertently encourage joint inflammation, which is precisely what seniors do not require. It is particularly alarming that research indicates these temperature-stressed oils could exacerbate joint inflammation and digestive issues, conditions that are already widespread among older adults. The solidification makes the oil challenging to pour, heightening the risk of spills or overuse, which contributes unnecessary calories to seniors' diets. In addition to health issues, the flavor profile takes a significant hit, as refrigerated olive oil loses its unique fruity and peppery characteristics, which are essential for enhancing Mediterranean-style diets that promote heart health. Instead, keep olive oil in a dark glass bottle or metal container, stored in a cool cabinet away from heat sources such as the stove. When stored correctly, premium olive oil can preserve its health advantages and taste for as long as 2 years after being bottled. Here are the 9 foods that should never find their way into the refrigerator. Begin by rearranging your kitchen according to the categories of food. Allow tropical fruits such as bananas and avocados to sit outside the fridge until they reach their ideal ripeness. Keep potatoes and onions in cool, dark areas, avoiding cold and damp environments. Bread is best kept at room temperature or in the freezer, but it should never be stored in the fridge. Your sweetener should find its home in the pantry, while your coffee deserves a spot in an airtight container tucked away in a dark cupboard. Garlic and tomatoes. Embrace them as the authentic, potent elements they truly represent. Keep them carefully to maintain their taste and nutritional advantages. We are eager to listen to your thoughts. Have you been storing any of these foods in the fridge without being aware of the potential dangers? What adjustments will you implement from this moment onward? We invite you to express your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. We truly enjoy listening to them. Thank you for tuning in. It seems you are looking for something specific.